Hello everyone. I welcome you all to another episode with another new topic. So today's topic will be, is grammar really important to become fluent in English? So let me tell you one thing, guys, at the very first place, that grammar, as we all know, that it's the foundation of language, right? But does perfect grammar really matter when it comes to, you know, become fluent in English? So, grammar is like, is it really important? Does that really matter? How much perfect grammar really matter when it comes to speaking fluently in English? So we will be, decoding all the confusions, and we will be unfolding everything in today's videos. So let's start with today's topic. So as we were discussing, the very first thing I want to mention that grammar, it's important. Okay, we all know that grammar is important, and but we have to change our perspective, our mindset in that way, so that it becomes more easier, and it doesn't seem that much difficult to us. The very first thing what we will have to do, that we will have to think from a different perspective. If we only think that we will know grammar, and after following all the rules and regulations, after get reaching to that point, we will start speaking, then it's never going to happen ever. And moreover, it will make the process delayed. So what we will have to do, like, we have to think from a different perspective. Like, we will have to think that, okay, grammar is important, we will learn it, and with time it will happen. It's a different concept, but at the same time we will have to speak. We will have to think in English, we will have to speak also. So in that way it becomes more easier. Okay, so I was learning this language. I was only focusing on grammar at the initial stage. When I was learning in my school days, when I was in third standard, fourth standard, in that time, because being a Bengali medium student, you don't get that kind of environment around you. So you have to learn that separately. So that time, I had to put a lot of effort in that. But I'm just telling you this thing because it doesn't, seem that much difficult to you, so that it becomes more easier. I'm not saying that it's, there is a shortcut way, or you will learn it, by following this process, you can learn it overnight. No, it's not going to happen in that way. But at least you can learn it in a better way. And it's a different, because that time we didn't know about all this. We only knew that, okay, by knowing all the rules and regulations, then only we can speak in that language. But that's not correct. Okay, if you want to know out of your curiosity, or if you are starting from the basic level, then it's okay. In that case, grammar is important. But yeah, I'm just I know many of you might disagree with me. Like, you can say that no, grammar is important. I'm not saying grammar is not important, but at the same time you will have to speak simultaneously in that language. That in that way it becomes more easier and faster. You can learn it more quickly, and you can become fluent also in that, if you follow that process. So you will have to do, like, at the very first time, if you are starting from the basic level, if somebody doesn't know anything, of course they will have to start from the ground zero. So I know that, because yeah, I also agree that without knowing that grammar part, we cannot even make a single sentence. Okay, so while in that process we have to understand what is the basic rules and regulations of grammar, how do we make sentences, even if we are not learning that by following the rules and regulations of books, but also you have to notice while listening something, by that way you can grab that thing very easily. But initial stage you will have to understand that how sentences are being formed, how it's being constructed, and then only you can make sentence. So while learning that process, when you are in that process of learning, what we can do is that, uh, if let's suppose that we are learning present tense, so or past tense, so what we will have to do that while learning we will have to make sentences equally. So in that way, what will happen that we will start thinking from our brain. We can make sentences from our day to day activities. In that way, it can happen in that way. So this is one way. Because and after that, when you uh, reach to that next level, then you can only listen, and then you can start speaking. So I'm not saying that completely to skip that process, to skip that part, but we will have to do both the things simultaneously. Like, if we are learning grammar, at the same time we will have to speak simultaneously. I'm saying you to do that. I'm not saying just completely, ignore grammar part and just start speaking. Because if someone is starting from the beginning, and if they don't have any kind of idea like how to start from, where to start from, then of course they will have to know something about grammar, and then only they can go to that next level, right? So at the very first level, at the very first stage, you will have to start from the basic. If your basic is strong, if your foundation is strong, of course you can do that other parts later. So initially, I will suggest you to learn basic things about grammar and then proceed to the further level. What happens, like, when we uh, so I'm just, it's my suggestion that don't be reliant too much, don't be focused too much on that part. So we will have to do it in a balanced manner, in a balanced way, so that both we can do it, both the things together simultaneously, and it becomes more easier for us to learn that subject more quickly and easily. So while learning, you can do that, you can do like this way. Like, you can make sentences according to your daily life routine. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you just, if you're learning past tense, present tense, or future tense, just try to write it down, or just try to think in your mind space that, okay, this way I can make sentences, these are my thoughts, I can present it in its present form. In that way you can learn it more quickly and easily. When children are growing up, they grow up in that kind of environment where they learn their native language so fast and so quickly. How 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 does this happen? Because they get that kind of environment around them, they have that surrounding. But we always don't get that kind of environment in our country. So always it's not possible to grow up in that environment, and it makes the process more difficult for us who are starting from beginning, or they don't get that kind of environment. So in that case, it seems more difficult to us to understand that, how do we learn that, how do we become fluent. So all I'm saying you that don't be too much reliant on grammar part. You will have to keep speaking, no matter whatever you are speaking, no matter what, how much you're making mistakes, that doesn't matter, but you have to keep speaking. Simultaneously you can work on your grammar part, and you can learn you can learn those rules and everything, follow that rules. That's a different part, but along with that, keep speaking. Don't stop, don't think that what if I come up, and what if I make mistakes, what if I you know make a lot of errors. Don't think in that way, just keep speaking. And that's how things will become more easier to you. Trust me, because when I was learning, I was too much focused about grammar part, and I never knew that by listening also we can become much better. So by listening, by reading books, you can make yourself better. Don't When we will surround ourselves in that kind of environment, that then the process becomes more easier for us to become fluent in that subject. So that is what I just want to tell you. Just do all the practices, and don't just be only reliant on that particular thing, because it really makes everything more delayed. Okay, I hope you will follow the rule. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel.